Now, interviewers will rate your answers with regard to the following. So, learning experiences. If you can show growth through your learning and life experiences, then that's a good thing to emphasize in your answers. What have you learned in your previous jobs and volunteer positions? If you say you've learned nothing, you will sound arrogant. Unless you've made no effort in previous jobs, you will have learned something, whether it is learning to use a cash register, dealing with customers during the Christmas rush, or refining your problem-solving skills. Potential employers will look at your answers to see if they show that you are looking at the long view. Are you planning ahead? When you're faced with a situation, do you only look at the immediate impact, or can you see the long view? For example, in the short term, unpaid internships are difficult because you're not making any money, so how do you support yourself? In the long term, however, such internships can be very important in advancing your career, getting you your first job, or allowing you to make contacts in other companies. Not only do they allow you to acquire skills, but they allow you to show off the skills you already have. Always remember that even school placements and volunteer jobs should be treated like a long job interview. These companies are potential employers and references, so make every moment count. The why. Here again, you need to be specific about why you did what you did. Show that you are self-reflective about the decisions you make. At the same time, however, the interviewer will be looking at where your focus of interest lies. Are you very self-centered, or do you give credit to team members, for example? If you're too focused on the I, on yourself, you will not appear to be a good team member or a good team player. Interviewers will also be looking at your ability to analyze a situation and your own actions and responses. So it is important to be self-aware. By this I mean not just how you feel about something, but how your actions and words impact on those around you. Here are 10 common interview questions that were printed in the Globe and Mail newspaper. In bold are the actual questions, and smaller red print are the implied questions. So with this first one, what was your most challenging job? Why? What did you learn from this job? The interviewer is looking for information about what you think is challenging, but also why you thought it was challenging and what you learned from it. The question of what you learned is the one that is implied with most interview questions. So the second question about your least challenging job is interesting because you need to think about what you've learned from a job that was easy to do. With the third question, in what situation did you find you had to overcome major obstacles to meet your objectives? What did you do? Why? What did you learn from the experience? And here you are being asked about something you did as part of a job. The interviewer will be listening to hear what you consider to be obstacles, as well as how you handled the situation, and again, what you learned. This is an example of a behavioral question. Questions about who you admire or don't admire may not come up often, but they are ones that are usually unexpected and force you to think quickly. The key here is to be able to explain why. A similar question I once had in an interview was, what book was most important to me in my research? Being asked to pick only one book really caught me off guard, and unfortunately I didn't answer it well. The next two questions are about negative things that you had to deal with. What have you failed at and what was a bad experience? In both, you will need to show that you are self-reflective and analytical about your work experiences. Remember, you need to demonstrate what you have learned. Questions 7 and 8 are similar in terms of being asked to show your self-reflection and your learning experiences. Question 9 comes right out and asks you what your best and worst learning experiences are. Finally, being asked to describe your last major change is one that will, hopefully, demonstrate personal growth and maturation. Changing your hair color or getting a new hairstyle, for example, may not be a good answer, unless you can say something about what it symbolizes about a larger personal change. For example, if you've always had waist-length hair and now you're starting a new career or stage of life, cutting your hair may symbolize moving from childhood to adulthood. Even better would be a personal change like changing your university program or quitting smoking or something else. You will want to be careful about what you self-disclose. You may not want to reveal your struggles with drug or alcohol addiction unless it's specifically relevant to the job you're applying for. I think, too, that people are often too eager to share too much information with relative strangers. Be cautious, both face-to-face and online, and always remember to demonstrate what you have learned. Remember the question from a few slides ago? What else do I need to know? If you have answered this question in your own mind, you will be prepared for the end of the interview. One of the final questions you'll likely be asked in an interview is there anything else you would like to know about the organization or the job? Answering no sends the wrong signal, that you're not really interested in the organization, you don't know what's important to you in terms of an employee or employer relationship, or that you lack confidence and assertiveness. Here are some questions that you should be prepared to ask. So what are the employer's goals for the position, especially if it's a short-term position? What is the work environment like? What is a typical day like? How will my leadership responsibilities and performance be measured, and by whom? Ask the interview why he or she chose to work for that company. Other questions you might ask, what is the size of the department, the branch, the section? Do you have a training program? Could you describe it? What are my opportunities for advancement? What is the salary range for this position? Now only ask this question if the salary is not noted in the job ad. And also be careful how you phrase it. Try something like, the ad didn't mention the salary range. Can you tell me what it is for this position? You could also ask questions about the person you would be working for. Who would I report to directly? How long has he or she been with the company? What is his or her background? Some other possible questions include things like, what kind of work can I expect to be doing in the first year? How much guidance or assistance is made available to individuals in developing career goals? Can you describe an ideal employee? You can also find additional help and resources through the university's Career Services portal. Here you can make an appointment to speak with an advisor, see job postings, and find resources such as sample resumes and cover letters. One resource is Perfect Interview. It is an online tool that you can use to practice and develop your interviewing skills. You will see videos of commonly asked questions from professional interviewers, and if you have a webcam, you can use it to record your answers so that you can see exactly how you currently present yourself. Watching yourself in action will provide you with the opportunity to see where you can improve your interviewing skills. Let's end with a final few tips. Make sure you plan ahead when you get an interview. Now this is not only about preparing to answer questions, but also about things like, where is the interview being held? Do you know how to get there and how to get there on time? If it is in a location where you've never been, do a trial run. Take a trip to the building to where the interview will be held. If you time your visit around lunch hour, you'll be able to see people coming and going from the building. Observe what the employees are wearing and how they are acting. When you are planning what to wear, a good rule of thumb is to dress one step better than what you see in your observations. If everyone is wearing a suit, then you should too. If people are wearing a blazers, then you should still wear a suit. Remember, one step up. If people are wearing business casual, then a blazer is fine. Of course, be aware of what day of the week you're observing. Many companies have casual Fridays. Also consider the nature of the company. For example, a bank is very conservative, but a place like Google will be more relaxed in the dress code. Similarly, if you are going for an interview at a fashion magazine, then you will want to show your fashion savvy. Men have a fairly easy time when it comes to dressing for an interview. For women, clothing choices are a minefield. What you see in the fashion magazines, short skirts and mile-high stilettos, for example, are not suitable for job interviews. Wear professional clothes, not what you would wear to the clubs. When in doubt, err on the side of conservative. Knee-length skirts, moderate heels, opaque blouses, by opaque I mean not transparent, and so on. Remember, skirts tend to ride up when you sit down. The shorter the skirt, the greater the chance for a wardrobe malfunction. Make sure your outfit is comfortable for standing, sitting, and walking, and that everything is clean and in good repair. I often see young men with ragged hems on their pants, for example. And of course, make sure that your skills match the job requirements, that you practice and practice some more, and that you have a list of questions to ask at the interview. After the interview, you can ask when the decisions will be made and ask if you can call to follow up. You can also send a thank you note to the interviewer. This may remind the interviewer about you and move you to the forefront of the person's mind. So in this video, we focused on preparing for and taking part in a job interview. Good luck with your job search. Thank you for listening.